All right, here we go. How I ate all the foods and stayed in shape on my vacation. And I did not weigh myself. I did not track my macros. I did not lift weights for 2 weeks. And here's what happened. Absolutely nothing. I've maintained my shape, I maintained my physique, maintained my body weight, maintained my waist measurement, and I had the most amazing time for the past 2 weeks. It was without a doubt the best vacation I've ever had, the best places I've ever visited, the best food I've ever eaten. So many memories were made, and I'm extremely happy with the results. I'm extremely happy with how I came back, which was exactly how I was planning, because before going on vacation, I did another call like this with some pointers on how to deal with vacation, how to deal with traveling, and how to, you know, and how to manage all that and still maintain a good physique. And one of the things that I talked about was to know what you want at the end of the trip or at the end of the vacation period. What do you want? What is your goal? What is your intention? How would you like to feel after those 2 weeks, after those 3 weeks, or however much time you're taking off? And for myself, I wanted to maintain my physique. That's it. I wasn't trying to lose more weight because I had just ended a fat loss phase for the photo shoot that I did. And I was just starting the reverse diet process. And I had a conversation with my coach beforehand, explained how my vacation was going to look like and what kind of expectations, what kind of things we should be doing in order to not put on body fat. Because at the end of a cut, at the end of a fat loss phase, that's where the body is most primed to store body fat. It's like ready to put on all the weight that you've lost. So you got to be careful on what you do after you lose weight, because otherwise it's really, really easy. It's easier than before to put the weight back on. So we got to be really careful. And the advice that he gave me, and I continued to doing my check-ins with him, even though I was on vacation, was to control my overall calories. So he didn't say for me that I needed to track my macros perfectly. He didn't advise me to, bring all my food in a Tupperware container or whatever. No, just as long as my overall calories were in check, I'd be good. And that's exactly how I did, even though I wasn't tracking, and I'm going to show you how I did that. Number one thing, that I wanted, and that I think it's fair to share as well. This was my first trip to Europe. This was the first time that I had ever been in Europe. And this is the first time that I've been on vacation on a trip where there were lots of things going on. Like, we were always walking around, we always had tours, we always had something to do and some place to go and something to explore, which is quite different from the vacations that I've taken in the past, where we would be going to a all-inclusive resort and just lay by the beach and enjoy the sunshine, and then maybe go to the beach and then the pool and eat something here, something there, maybe go on a tour. But most of the time I knew what we would be doing. And for this vacation now, a lot of things happened at the same time, a lot of things happening at the same time, so much so that it doesn't feel that it was just 2 weeks. It feels more so like a month, because we did so many things in this short period of time of 2 weeks. So this was my first time having this type of trip myself personally. So some things for sure didn't work out quite as I planned, but that's okay. I'm going to share what those things were so you can prepare yourself as well. And it's not a big deal. And I wanted to share this because I want you to not think that everything was perfect for me just because I am a coach and I know what I'm doing, and things are not perfect. And sometimes things are not going to go as planned. but that's part of the process as well. And knowing how to handle those situations is also a good muscle to train. So the first thing that did not work well is the workouts in and of itself. I expected that I would be able to, book a daily pass for all the 3 cities that I visited, and I would be able to at least do 3 full body workouts per week, hit the gym, lift weights, and do my thing. And I did not do that. I couldn't do that because we were literally walking from the moment we woke up until almost midnight every single day. And we were just so exhausted at the end of the day that I needed to prioritize sleep. The little sleep that I got, I needed to prioritize that. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to keep up with all the activities for the next day. So that's one of the things that I had we only been gone for maybe a week or even for a longer period of time, but for longer duration, a longer period in each city, it would have been easier to set up a schedule, to set up a routine, to allow me to get to know the city and do the things that we wanted to do, and at the same time, get the workouts done. Because we had just a short period of time in each of the cities, so we were 4 to 5 days in each city that we visited, we didn't have enough time to create a structure, to create a routine, and to create some sort of routine. So that's how it went. The other thing that didn't work quite well as I planned was water intake, honestly. And I'd never struggle with water intake. I drink 4 liters of water every single day, like super easy. But because we were walking all day and we didn't have easy access to bathrooms, or like we couldn't stop at the middle of a tour guide, or we couldn't stop at every, I don't know, half an hour to pee, I didn't drink enough water. Even though it was hot as hell, I drank water as much as I could given the situation, but I didn't drink as much water as I would have liked because of the situation, because we were walking around, because sometimes it was inconvenient to have a bottle of water with me, because sometimes I didn't have the bottle of water with me, and because most of the times it was hard to find a bathroom to use. So those were the 2 things that didn't work quite well as planned: working out, lifting weights, right? And the water intake. The rest of it was quite planned, even though it doesn't look like, it looks like I just pressed the screw it button. I didn't. It was all planned out, and it was all part of what I had in mind for this vacation. So before I get started on what exactly I did, I want to give you some context, okay? Because I think this is important. Context, so you can understand where I'm coming from and why this worked for me. And it might not work for everybody in every phase that you're in, because you haven't been in it for as long as I have been in it, right? So first off, I've been consistently tracking my macros for years. So I know what's in my food. I know how to estimate how much protein, how much fat, how much carbs are in my food. And just by looking at it, because I've been measuring it for so long. So I know I've been very, very consistent with it for years. So that helped me to eat more intuitively, even when I wasn't tracking. Also, I've been consistently lifting weights for years, applying progressive overload for years, and having a structured program to follow for years and years and years as well. So I'm not just lifting weights for the sake of lifting weights. I'm always following a structured program, either designed by myself or by my coach, depending on the phase that I'm in and depending on the period of time of my life. Right now, I'm following my coach's program, for example. But I've been consistently lifting weights for years, over a decade. So I've built enough muscle in my body that allows me to get away with more. So the more muscle you build, the more leverage you can have when you're out of your routine. So because I've built enough muscle for so long, now I can take 2 weeks off and not feel guilty about it, because I know that, number one, I'm not going to lose the muscle that I've built over the past decade. And number two, I know that because I've built a lot of muscle in my body, my metabolism is higher. So because my metabolism is higher and requires more calories to maintain itself, maintain my body shape, my body weight, then I can eat more. Basically, if you want to eat more, you need to build muscle. That's it. That's how you get away with eating more, building muscle. And building muscle takes time. So that's why you can't be so attached to the end result and to how long it's going to take. It's going to take your whole entire life. Just accept that and work on building muscle, because that will allow you to get away with eating more foods and not working out as much when you don't want to. Pretty much. Also, I wasn't trying to lose weight while on vacation, that I already mentioned. I wasn't on a fat loss phase, and I wasn't expecting the scale to go down when I came back. Okay, so that's important to keep in mind. I purposefully chose to not be in a cut while on vacation, and that was discussed with my coach. I already mentioned that as well. I do not live in a calorie deficit all year round. Calorie deficit means fat loss. Okay, so if you want to lose fat, you need to be in a calorie deficit, meaning that you're eating less than you're burning every single day for a consistent period of time, so your body can use your stored body fat as an energy source for fuel for your body. That phase should have a start and an end date. It's not a forever thing. Just because you haven't reached your goal yet, just because you haven't lost all the body fat that you want yet, doesn't mean that you should continue on a calorie deficit until you're eating pretty much nothing, because your metabolism is just going to slow down. So fat loss should be the shortest phase of your transformation journey. And that's true for me too. Like I said, I just finished the fat loss phase for my photo shoot prep, and that lasted, I believe, 3 months or almost 3 months, something like that. And I'm out of it. I'm not in a calorie deficit anymore, and I'm not looking to stay in a calorie deficit anymore. I'm reverse dieting so I can maintain my shape while eating more. And that's what allows my metabolism to stay higher for longer. I do not try to stay in a calorie deficit forever. And most of the year, I'm either in maintenance or a slight surplus. So most of the time, most of the year, I'm eating anywhere from 2 to 2,400 calories, 2,000 to 2,500 calories a day. Okay. No foods are off limits, so you know that you can eat anything you want. But I always focus on maintaining balance with an 80-20 approach, which for me, it looks more like a 90-10 approach, meaning that 80 to 90% of the time, I'm going to be focusing on whole food sources. I'm going to be eating pretty much the same stuff every day. Lots of whole foods, lots of nourishing foods, and foods that are very high in nutrients. And the other 10 to 20% of the calories I'm going to be allocating to fun foods or foods that I enjoy just because I enjoy them. Most of the time that means chocolate, because I love chocolate, or ice cream. So I will allow that 10 to 20%. I will allocate that towards a piece of chocolate or a little bit of ice cream, or that's pretty much it. Or pizza on Friday, something like that. Okay. But most of the time I'm very, very boring when it comes to food. Doesn't mean that the food is not tasty. It just means that I choose foods that works well with my body and that works well with the goals that I have. Also, just again, to give you some context, and this is something to keep in mind before you freak out because you're going on vacation, because you're taking some time off or whatever. The world is not going to end, because 2 weeks means 3.8% of the year. 3.8% of the year. That's nothing. Okay. How I look on vacation depends highly on what I do for the remaining 96.2% of the year, not exact necessarily what I do on vacation. Okay. So keep that in mind, that what matters most, what's going to give you the results that you want, is the focus on the majority of the year. All right, the 96.2%, the remaining 50 weeks, that's what's really going to give you the results you want for those 2-week vacations. So doing crash diets for, a few weeks and just like juice cleanses and doing all that crazy shit just to get in shape for summer, it's going to backfire so badly, because you're going to lose muscle, your metabolism slows down, and you're just going to look worse and worse, and you're going to eat less and less, and you're going to look worse because you're not taking time to build muscle. You're not taking time out of a calorie deficit. You're not taking time to actually build the physique that you want. You can't just cut to get to your dream body. You need to build your dream body, and your dream body to be built needs food and needs time and needs the right program for you. Okay, so just keep that in mind. 2 weeks, 3.8% of the year, focus on the 96.2%, and you will be fine. Okay, also the type of vacation allowed me more flexibility. Like I said, I was not in an all-inclusive resort doing nothing all day. I was walking around a lot. I was moving a lot. Even though I wasn't training, I didn't stop. I did not stop 1 second during this trip. So that allowed me more flexibility because I could eat more without putting on body fat. Okay. Had I been to a all-inclusive resort, then that definitely would have changed. I would have eaten maybe less, or I would have been able to get my workouts in or something like that. So the type of vacation also impacts the kind of results that you can expect. So because I was walking a lot, because this type of vacation allowed me to be moving all the time, I didn't freak out by the fact that I couldn't lift weights or that I wasn't lifting weights, because I knew that I wasn't going to lose all my gains in just 2 weeks. And I knew that because I was moving a lot, I had a little bit of a buffer to when it comes to the food intake. Okay. So now getting to where we want it. How did I do it? Okay, what did I focus on? Number one, what's the most important thing for us to understand and to keep in mind is that the total weekly calories is what determines whether you gain, lose, or maintain weight. Okay. I know I always talk a lot about protein and the importance of protein, and you should be hitting your protein intake every single day. And yes, that is true, because that's what builds muscle, that's what's maintains muscle, and that's what will help you feel more satisfied and not binge and not eat more junk food and just control your cravings. So yes, protein remains super hyper important at the top here. However, total weekly calories. Okay, and I'll just explain why I'm saying weekly instead of daily, but total weekly calories is what's going to actually impact your body weight, how much body weight you put on, or if you maintain, or if you lose. And why am I saying weekly instead of daily? Because fat loss doesn't happen overnight, okay? And fat gain doesn't happen overnight. You might see changes on the scale overnight. Yes, that's true. But body weight fluctuations does not mean body fat fluctuations, okay? For the body to burn fat or to put on body fat, it takes a little bit of time, okay? For you to gain, okay, 1 pound, just 1 pound, half a kilo of body fat, you need to eat in a day 3,500 calories over your maintenance calories, okay? If you're currently on a deficit, okay, let's say you're a girl, you're in a deficit, you're deficit calories are roughly 1,300, meaning that at 1,300, you should be losing body fat. Probably your maintenance calories is around 1,800 to 2,000 calories. So let's use 2,000 just for the sake of easy math. You would need to eat in a day 5,500 calories to put on 1 pound of body fat in a day. Okay, because that's 3,500 on top of your current maintenance calories. You see what I'm saying? You might not be able to eat that much in a day, but you can easily eat 500 calories per day over the course of the week on top of those maintenance calories, because 500 calories, let's be honest, especially if we're talking sweets and junk food and ice cream and chocolate and cookies and things like that, it's very easy to eat, right? 500 calories is nothing, especially with yummy foods. So if you overeat 500 calories every single day for 7 days, that's 3,500 calories. So you put on 1 pound of body fat over the course of the week because you overate by a little bit every day. Okay. So when we think about maintaining the body weight or keep losing body fat or whatever the case may be, we should be thinking about the total weekly average so we can have a better understanding of what's happening over the course of a week, not just one day. And that helps us how? Because if you overeat here on Monday, right? If you overeat on Monday, you can maybe still compensate, quote unquote, over the next 6 days or over the next day. So you counterbalance things. So at the end of the week, you're still in maintenance calories or in deficit calories, whatever the case may be for your phase, for the phase that you're in right now. In my case, trying to maintain where I was at. So even if I had one day that I maybe went over what I needed to eat, the next day or the next few days, I kind of compensated for that by eating less or moving more. And that balanced things out at the end of the week. Okay. And how I did that, how I controlled total calories without tracking. But again, let's keep context in mind. I've been consistently tracking for years. Okay, so how I did that was by walking a lot. So we were averaging anywhere from 20 to 35,000 steps a day. Yeah, 20 to 35,000 steps a day. And we chose to walk a lot, even when public transportation would be more convenient. Yes, we used public transportation when it was a very, very far distance or when we were short in time in situations like that. But most of the time we walked a lot. And moving more means that you're burning more fat, means that you're burning more calories. Okay. Another thing that I did, number 3 here, I controlled the number of meals in a day. So instead of eating just because it was time to eat, or instead of eating just because I need to have breakfast, lunch, snack, dinner, or all the meals that I have normally back home, I controlled it. I knew that my meals would be heavier than normal. I knew that. Why? Because all the foods that I was eating was from a restaurant, right? From a restaurant. And even the quality restaurants, if the food is really good, there's a lot of butter added, there's a lot of fat added and mixed with carbs. So there's a lot of calories. So I knew that the meals that I wanted to eat was going to be heavier. So why adding more meals to that? Right? I knew that if I chose well, I could eat 2 or 3 really good meals and keep my calories in check. So that was the easiest way to do it. Because we had dinners, our dinners were sort of late at night, I didn't wake up hungry like I normally do. So it was really easy to fast in the morning and just skip through lunch and eat like mid-afternoon. And then sometimes I would have a snack. That's where the gelato comes in. And then at night, the dinner again. Okay. Very few days I chose to eat breakfast because I wanted to taste the breakfast, especially in Paris and Italy. But those were like 1 or 2 days that I chose to have breakfast as well because I wanted to try. But again, thinking about the weekly calorie control, it was still easy to manage because the next day I would just fast until mid-afternoon and then have my regular 2 meals. Another thing that really helped me was to limit alcohol. The past 14 days, so it was a 14-day vacation, I had champagne and wine with my first dinner in Paris. Then I had another glass of wine on my last day in Paris, 1 glass of wine in Rome with my last dinner. Yes, just 1 glass, and didn't have any alcohol in Amsterdam. Well, like I said here, I had 1 sip, like literally just 1 sip of a Heineken beer at their tour. I'm not a beer fan myself, but Cesar wanted to go, and I went with him, and it was fun. It was cool to see, but I'm not a fan of beer, and it's not because I'm the Heineken tour that I'm gonna drink beer just because I'm there. Like, I still had the choice, right? So I chose not to drink. And I'm glad I did that because I prefer to get my calories from food than from drinks. And alcohol doesn't do anything for you anyways, right? It doesn't do anything good for you. You might feel okay, or you might feel good in the moment, but then the next day you're hangover, or you're feeling a little off, or a little bit of headache here and there. And I didn't want alcohol interfering with my experience. So I chose really carefully the dinners that I wanted to have a glass of wine with, and that's what I did. And I'm really happy about it because it didn't affect my experience. When I wanted it, I had a little bit of it, and that was it. 5, I shared meals with my husband so I could taste whatever I wanted, but I ate fewer calories, but ate fewer calories in total. So I shared a lot of meals. I don't remember exactly which ones, but I would just eat half of the order, and that was it. And he would taste the other half. And we did that with desserts. We did that with main courses. We did that with appetizers. We did that with breakfast. We did that with a lot of meals, and it worked quite well because even though those serving sizes are not huge in Europe compared to America, which is actually a good thing, it was still very like calorie dense food, very calorie dense meals. So that was a way that I found to help me control my calories a little bit. And I didn't miss out on anything, because if you're eating very slowly, if you're eating very mindfully and like trying to taste and enjoy that food, you will feel satiated sooner than if you're just like shoveling food down your throat. Also, number 6, I fasted whenever I could. By not eating breakfast, I ended up saving about 500 calories a day, because that's about it, right? If you're going to have breakfast somewhere else, that's about 500 calories. And that's what I saved by not eating breakfast on most days. Fasted during the days I was flying, again, saved probably more than 1,000 calories because I did not eat 2 or 3 meals and just ate when I got there. The best strategy. Just like airport food usually sucks. they're usually not worth it. And they're expensive too, but they're usually not worth it. Like the taste is not that good. And you're gonna have like a meal at the airport. Like, what's the meaning you're going to give to that, right? So wait until you get to the destination, or wait until you get home to have a proper meal. And no, you're not going to die if you're feeling hungry. Just drink water, just drink black coffee, black tea. Hunger is not an emergency. I can guarantee you that hunger is not an emergency. You can fast, you can skip meals, and that will help you a lot. Unless you have eating disorders, or unless that gives you the urge to binge later on, then that might not be a good strategy for you. But still, try to save up as many calories as you can on situations where you can do that, right? And save for those moments that are really, really worth it. Number 8, focused on quality instead of quantity. So instead of eating a lot of shitty foods, I ate fewer very high quality meals. Like, I did not eat fast food burger. I ate the best burger in Amsterdam, right? I did not like eat just a random average pasta in Rome. I looked for the best pasta in Rome, and food is so cheap over there, which is good because you can have the best meal in Rome and at a very, very reasonable price. Not so much in Paris. Paris is a little bit more expensive than Rome. But and Amsterdam is kind of midway between Rome and Paris in terms of pricing. But yes, I focused on quality instead of quantity. And I did not I tried my best to did not get emotional about food. Like, oh my gosh, this is the last opportunity. I'm going to have to eat this. So even though I'm stuffed and I can't breathe, I'm going to shovel this down my throat just because I'm here. It wasn't anything like that. Like, I looked at something, it kind of would have been nice. But then I thought to myself, I'm not really hungry. No, I'll skip this. It's fine. Because the memories that I was building was so much bigger than just eating until I felt sick, right? Eating until I felt sick would have actually gone the opposite way of enjoying that moment that I was having. Number 9, I only had one caloric drink, that freshly squeezed orange juice in Paris. Other than that, I only had 0 calorie beverages. So my coffee, teas. No, I didn't drink tea, just coffee, carbonated water, so sparkling water, regular water, any Coca-Cola that I drank, everything was 0 calorie. Again, I like to prioritize the food that I'm eating. If I'm going to eat calories, I want to eat really good quality calories, and I want to eat it. I don't want to drink it. Okay. So it's a waste. Whenever possible, I choose fish or chicken for protein. That's easy. Because the nice and the good restaurants, they make really good fish and they make really good chicken, believe it or not. So if I knew that I wanted to have like a 3-course meal, or if I knew that on that day I've had a little bit more than what I wanted to have for that day, I would save up calories by choosing a white fish option on the menu or a chicken option from the menu. So I could get my protein in, and I could also save up some calories as well, because red meat, even though I love it, does have a little bit more fat in it. And basically that was it. Basically, that's what I did for my 14-day vacation, staying in 3 different countries, visiting 3 different countries, 3 different cities, 3 different cuisines, and staying in shape until the last day, until I came back home. Everything remains the same. I do not feel yucky or bloated, or I do not feel any of that. One of the things that I didn't mention, and I know a lot of women have this problem when they travel, is with their bowel movements, and they feel more constipated. I didn't feel that way. I think because, again, all of the things that I've already mentioned in terms of consistency, in terms of what I do for the 96.2% time of the year, my digestion was great, was awesome, even though I wasn't eating a ton of fiber or drinking water. But I think just because the types of foods that I was eating, it was allowing my digestive system to process it really, really well. And I wasn't drinking alcohol, because alcohol messes up with everything, right? So it really worked really well. Like I said, I did not track macros, I did not track my protein, I did not weigh myself. I brought my measuring tape because I was doing my check-ins on a weekly basis with my coach, just to make sure that my waist circumference, my waist measurement was still maintaining the way we wanted. And that's it. This was the first time that I did this. This was the first time that I went on this type of trip. And this was the first time that I purposefully not tracked my food and not trained and still maintained my physique. So this is really, really awesome. I hope this was valuable to you. I hope this helped you guys, because I know that lots of you are going on vacation, are traveling, are taking time off, are enjoying summer. And this can be a tricky season to deal with, fat loss, and to deal with being on a fitness program. And if you do, what I did here seems like it was off plan, but like I mentioned before, it was all previously discussed and it was on plan. So I did not feel guilty, and I don't feel guilty now for the choices that I made. And I don't feel that I went off track because it was intentional, because I had planned the way it was. That's the difference. Okay, so if you go on vacation thinking that you have to be perfect all the time and do the same exact things that you do back home, then you're going to set yourself up for frustration, because it's never going to be that way. Now, my best advice is know the type of trip that you're going to. Know the things that you know that you can say no to, that you can skip and save calories. Know that the most important thing to maintain your body weight is the total overall calories. Know that the more you move, the better for you, better for your digestion, better for how you feel, better for how you're going to come back home. And have that intention in mind. How do you want to come back home? How do you want to look back at your vacation pictures? How do you want to feel? Is it really worth it to stuff your face with food just because it's tasty? If the next day you're going to feel bloated, lethargic, and you'll just try to cover up your bloated belly because you feel so bloated and yucky because of the amount of food that you ate, when you can still have that food, as long as you control the portions, as long as you intentionally pre-plan things in a way that overall you're somewhat controlling and managing your calories, controlling and managing the amount of food that you eat. And just have in mind, again, feeling hungry is not an emergency. Fasting can help a lot because you will save up some calories. You have a buffer there. And most importantly, focus on the 96.2% of the year that really, really makes the difference on how you're going to look on your vacation time, when you're traveling, when you're wearing, the clothes that you love, and taking pictures and making memories. So I think that's it. If anybody has any questions, just let me know. I will share the recordings of this call with you guys later on, as soon as it's done. And yeah, I hope this was helpful, and have a wonderful rest of the week. Bye.